Not a word was uttered by the Prime Minister.
You don't like the screaming.
Over 2 years, a 70%
Fair enough.
increase in the number of people per country in any 2-year period in our country's history. So that's
But
what's
sometimes
housing crisis. So in terms of the
screaming
migration policy
can work.
this election, I think Australians are much safer
If,
to go with
if it's someone screaming the same old shit, they're screaming about it. It's just joking. But they're screaming for a point to get somewhere. It doesn't become a joke. So which one are you guys?
So in relation to our policy,
Have you ever been a fella screaming at the mirror?
the permanent migration program,
People like to look at themselves when they get super angry. It's like they need to look at something to tell off and they do it to themselves. And in a way, you need to sometimes. You ever been there before? Yeah. Scream at yourself. Sometimes when you do it, you look at yourself and you go, man, I look stupid. Is that what it look like? Things like that, it does that. Sometimes you like the look and it feels good. Helps you get that moment out. Like you're fighting someone else, but you're doing it within yourself. If you don't, you'll end up fighting them. But sometimes it works, so you don't fight them. No.
That's a very important part of that reunion and that reunification of families, etc. So we'll always have a strong migration policy because Labor can't manage it, and Labor always prioritises bringing 3,000 people in from Gaza without security checks for political reasons to please the Greens. And in doing that, when you've got a finite number in the program, you're squeezing other people out, and that's why I just think Labor has been a disaster on migration policy. I've dealt with that.
And I just think Peter Dunne's a disaster with his nuclear policy. And if you want to debate, if I had to do one, I'd research it more by checking it out, going there, talking to people a little bit more. If I could, depends on who you debate, but usually with debates when it comes to the big area, then they should have the ability to have to really research these things. And then have a debate about it, for sure. You should be able to do these things within a 3-month period, I reckon, any type of these debates, from one question time to another kind of thing. And they should have a debate. What do you reckon, Peter Dunne? I've got a cough on that one. Tickle. Need a little hairs coming out tickling me. What do you reckon, babies? Or was it something sinister? I was like, I got cancer. Right. I cough a lot, serious. But it could be, I don't know. It's all right. Don't worry about stare tactic. I try not to do that these days. I've done it to myself already. When I couldn't lay on my chest for ages on one side for many years and got worse than that, and then it just went away. Oh, shit. I don't know, it's a good thing or a bad thing, like when you're dying, how the pain goes away. So it's either that, or it's a good thing. In the last few years, it went away. It's part of my story, actually. And you can go back years ago about the complaints of what I had. And now I don't have it. I'm actually laying up and everything. So it's good. And lay a certain way for ages. It's too hard to breathe. Hurt, stabbing. And I started getting it pretty much when I left the Royal Children's Hospital around that time. And I got really sick. I had it right up till just a few years. Anyway, sorry Peter Dunne. I'll get back to the free advertising from my end for you.
Committed to a 25 cent a litre. We've been to petrol stations because we've committed to a 25 cent a litre reduction in fuel. And I want every Australian to hear that because that for a 2-car family means about $30 a week.
Oh, here, I'm just chucking my opinion about that fuel. So I haven't actually done one. I've done behind the scenes. But actually, no, I did do an opinion on that. Sorry. Blood too much sometimes. Pretty sure I did. And when it comes to that, I prefer that you didn't have to. When it comes to trying to reduce something for people now, that's what he's saying, right? And he wants to use taxpayers' money to give them relief now. So they get relief now, but they've got to pay for it. And if you're already in debt, that means you're getting a loan. So it's going to cost you more to get the relief now. In the end, right? And it depends on how long it takes that loan. Even more, right? So it's best not to do that if you can. I do see the point. So that there's always points to things. It doesn't mean there's a point, doesn't mean you should do it. It all depends on circumstances. And so what I'll try to do to reduce fuel is I'll go out to the country and countries that supply the fuel, and I'll talk to them. And I'll hopefully that they like me enough, and I make agreements and guarantee them things for them, stuff like that. Perhaps do another deal. You do it cheap here, we do it cheap there, that kind of thing. And hopefully reduce the prices for you by doing a trade deal. You know, you can do that. Besides not doing the trade deal, which is they want to do now, which is what Peter Dunne's talking about, and just pay for what they want and supply the rest like they do with medication, which is why we've got a big medication. Because instead of going and complain about it or do it yourself, you're just making things cheaper by you're paying for it. And we're paying for it, so we're not making anything cheaper in the end. It's like a little patch thing. We're eventually just giving them what they want. These companies, and we've got to stop doing that. That's what makes it worse in that sector as well. While I'm talking, I'm just picking some bread. Probably a little shooting lines on it, and then I start picking at them. That's when they're like soft like they are now. Sometimes I'll let them dry out a little bit when they're not so fresh. They're a little bit easy to do. Break up. There's different ways to do bread. All depends. Like multi-grain bread, it's quite easy to pull apart, break apart. Definitely when it dries up a bit, this like does it itself. It's got to wiggle around in this
people from the Indian community. I kicked out people who were serious domestic violence perpetrators, who had committed offences in other communities.
Now I've noticed, like he's talking now, he does have, when you go through things in life, you get a trait, right, a habit. Right? And when you're in a business that's, you know, the police force, you'll get a police force habit of their laws and ways of that time that you're in it. Right? And so sometimes when you're in so long, it takes a while to get out. You fall back to it. It's always be a last resort for people, is to fall back on what they're mainly used to. And you've got to watch that sometimes. Simply if you get something that you didn't like, right, it can easily come back. Or traits, or ideas and thoughts and stuff like that. But police are totally, and the way they think needs to be separated and be different, similar but different in that area. You've got to make sure you don't make areas that need to be a lot different, really, the same. Otherwise, they become the same force as one, work together as one, not for the people. They'd be working more for themselves.
Our country has been a great beneficiary of migration, but it needs to be well managed.
So I thought I'd just say that, just in case. Might even help Peter Dunne never hears this. You know, okay. Everything comes out soon. Hey, babes.
I'm very proud of that. Right, thank you very much.
Because I notice he likes to, he speaks like a police officer, and he was one. You know? If you wanted a police officer thinking, we can grab a whole heap of police officers. Which one do you want to do that? So you want to make sure that you're not falling back on something that is in a different area. That's all I want to say. Good thing about falling back with his area, it helps him figure out things. Don't blame him to do that. I'm not saying you shouldn't do that. Saying anybody out there. Saying about the bad parts. Try to keep out the bad parts so they can sneak up in areas. As I know by experience, and you'll always still get things like that. A lot of advice and things we go through is continuous. You just got to do the best you can do in the moment, in the environment that you're in. How about us? Yeah. You know, when I was there, there's another thing. And I just wanted to chuck out and talk about Peter Dunne for a minute, eh? Don't want his job or nothing. It's impossible for me to get his job. In fact, I think in Australia, I thought it was possible that anyone can have a chance. That you've got to be recognised as well and be on TV. And if you don't get that part, And that's why stars get into a lot of stuff. It's hard for people to spread their word to make people want to like it. So it's a bit unrealistic. This way it's hard to beat money when that area gets finance to help advertise. That's how it rolls. You got money when it comes to advertising. The more money you can do to out advertise the other person, more likely it can happen. Definitely with your similar products. Have a good one and see you later.